Welcome everyone, it's Glacier Guy, rocking Glacier as always. We're a new top-down camera, and we're going to be starting a new series, which I hope you'll enjoy. And it follows an army that I built, and I'm pretty sure I did a video on it. I may have done a weekly update post on it. It is my Fallen Chaos Space Marine army. And so what I've decided to do is the Fallen Chaos Space Marine army has two detachments. One detachment of the Fallen with Cypher. Is it Cypher or Cyphus? It's either way. It has that one leader and a Chaos Sorcerer. And then it has another detachment which is just Chaos Space Marines. And so what I decided to do with the Chaos Space Marine detachment was to do one of each model in the original color scheme of either the Legions or maybe of a post-Legion Astartes who just decided to go Traitor and to go Rogue. And so for the first one that I did was I did this Ultramarines Chaos Lord. He basically, it's basically a Chaos Lord done in Ultramarine-ish colors. And I really liked it, and I thought it worked out really well. And so we're going to be doing the same thing, but we're going to be doing it with a White Scars model. Now, the thing is I just randomly reach in and grab a model out of the squad, and I decide I want to paint it, whatever army. And the one I decided to do today was White Scars, so we're going to be doing White Scars. And so to do White Scars, we're going to be starting off with some Celestial Gray base. I've never done White Scars before, so this is kind of new territory. We're going to be doing Ulthuan Gray for another layer, and then we're going to be finishing off with White Scars. We're going to be using, where is it? We're going to be using some Agrexer Shade as well, and some Mephiston Red for the shoulder pads and everything. Perhaps a little Balthasar Gold, some Rhinox Hide, some Abaddon Black, and maybe a few other colors, and whatever colors we end up throwing in there, we'll mention it. I'm not exactly sure if I'm gonna clip edit this video or if it's just gonna be one long run. So we'll just see where we go. It might be voiced over, or it might be just one long run. And yeah, so let's kind of get into it. So I have my wet palette here, all ready to go. Just set aside. I'm using one of the new synthetic GW, I don't know how new they are, maybe a little bit less than a year old. The synthetic GW brushes, they work relatively similar to the non-synthetics, and they curl kind of about the same on the tips. And I know you're not supposed to get any paint in the ferrule, which is the tip of the brush. It happens. I try really hard not to, and if that's going to cause you some problems, don't worry about it. It's my brush, not yours. But yes, we give ourselves a little thorough shaking of this base coat paint here. I have the camera set up in an interesting rigging kind of contraption above on the top shelf of the desk, aiming down. So that's why the model it's from the top. I tried to do it from over the left shoulder because I'm right-handed, so I paint with my right hand. And the left shoulder, it didn't feel super secure, and I was worried it was going to fall off. And even though the rigging and everything's supposed to hold like 33 pounds, it was just like the angle wasn't right, and I didn't want one of my cats to come over and knock it out. Also, I could do the I have ability now to hook it up directly to my computer and live stream it if I want to, and we'll think about that later on. But all right, so I think we've thoroughly shaken this. Ooh, it's got still a little clumpy inside the pot. Now normally I put these in my own little dropper bottle, but I just picked this paint up, and I don't know how many of these I'm going to be working on. So let's throw up a little agitator ball in there. I got them from Army Painter. We'll close it back up. We'll give it a nice shake. That's the sound you want. Don't worry about it. It's off camera. A little grunting action. I just ate lunch, so if you hear me cough or clear my throat, I don't know what it is. I'm old. It's just something that happens whenever I eat food. Probably acid reflux disease of some sort. All right, so let's get this chunky GW Gray onto the wet palette. And so that's zoomed in. I'm gonna zoom out real quick, so apologies if the can is shaky. Go a little wider. And I have some marking points on the table where I want to keep the camera. So I marked on the little pad here. I used to use tape for that thing, but we're gonna just put the little Celestial Gray on the wet palette there. And then clean off the brush. And so probably not enough paint, actually. Let me load it up a little bit more. And I've seen people use different techniques of getting paint out of these brushes, and this is just what I'm going to do. But it is fairly chunky, this base paint. So we're going to mix that around on that wet palette. All right, and then I'm just going to coat basically everything that I know is going to be white, and then we'll come right back. So yeah, we'll probably do some stop cuts, yeah, because where I paint, I paint down here, and where the camera is set up and everything, it's kind of up here. So yeah, we'll be back once we base coated this whole thing. All right, so we did one layer of Celestra Gray, and we went over all the areas that we plan on making white. And, well, we did a little bit of messes here and there, but that's perfectly fine. We're going to need to do another layer of Celestra Gray because I can still see that white underneath of it. And then, after we do that layer of Celestra Gray, more than likely, I will be going for an all-over wash of Agrax Earthshade or Null Oil. I haven't decided yet. Probably Agrax Earthshade because it's a Chaos Warrior. And then we'll be building up that white. And I want to work on the white first, building up to at least an Ulthuan Gray. And then once we build up the white, we'll be able to go on to like the black piping and the red. And I'm not well. Maybe I'll do the black piping before I do the. No, we can do the black piping afterwards. Either way, every time I paint a model, especially when I'm doing a one-off with a color scheme that I haven't used before, I'm always conflicted about what to do in what order. But let's go get that second layer. All right, so we have our Celestra Gray, 2 coats put down. There's still a little bit of the white showing. Oh, I forgot to mention. So the white undercoat is a flat Tamiya white undercoat. Just it's not really a primer. It's more of just a spray, which acted a little weird. Normally, I would use a black undercoat, and then it would have highlighted up to white, which is probably what I should have done. But I was like, white scars, let's go for a white so we're not putting so many coats on there. But I think realistically, I probably should have done a black undercoat and then spray white over. Either way, so it works a little weird with the Celestra Gray. So it just required 2 coats, and we put that on there. Now we're going to do an Agrax Earthshade. Now, normally what you've seen with white scars, you want to be really careful. You want to get in the pins, and then so you don't have to do a lot of cleanup. The way I like to do it, especially with my washes, is I like to coat the entire model. Just soak the damn thing in shade. The only time I do pin washing is on vehicles, just because obviously there's so much. So I'm going to just completely coat them over. We're going to let them dry, and then we're going to go back over areas with a little bit of Celestra Gray, and then we're going to start working into the Ulthuan Gray. So yeah, we'll be back. So we did a full coat of Agrax Earthshade all over all the Celestra Gray. It's funny, it's kind of turned it into a little bit of a kind of a grungy green. Like you could realistically probably just call this a Death Guard Marine. It would pretty much work out. So what I'm going to be doing next is actually we're going to be doing all the black parts. I said I was going to go up to the go over the gray again, but we're going to do the black parts, and we'll just see it all turns out after that, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we knocked out all the black parts. Got the little grommets on the leg and on the back. Got a little of the exhaust ports, some of the tubing, and we got the casing on the bolter. Went for the black on that one. Got a little bit down here. Now, if you look right underneath his neck, there's some more grommeting. But no, trying to get my brush in there and not hit all this gray around it. I mean, sure, I could clean it up with the gray, but this gray is also really chunky, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to leave that bottom. It'll be fine. It'll just be a little bit of darkness, a little bit of shadow in the background. So we're going to move on next to, I think we're either going to do the brown. This little tatter cloak part is more than likely going to be, I don't know if I want to do red, actually. I could do red on this tatter cloak bit because everything else is going to be, there's going to be a lot of other red. So I don't know if I want to do red on the cloak. I could do a, we'll have to decide. We'll have to look at some reference material for the cloak. But we do browns, might do some browns for the leather bits. Might switch over with the Rhinox hide. Oh, the black was done with Abandoned Black, just in case you're wondering. So yeah, we're gonna probably switch over to all the browns, and then we'll be back. All right, so we finished up the brown parts with the Rhinox hide. We got the leather belts and whatnot. We'll probably have to go back over those with a lighter shade of brown at a little later date. But I've decided, looking at some reference photos, we're going to be doing the little cloth here, a little bone parchment color. And we got ourselves some Xandri dust. We're going to knock that out real quick. And then, I like to do my metallics last, so trying to see what else I can do. I think I might actually go to the gray or move up to the red. Yeah, I think I might do the red trim after this, and we're going to leave the gold bits for last. So probably, I can get the skull too at the same time. Perfect. Oh, I forgot about this rock down here. I might want to get that rock with some gray, but a different gray. All right, let's move on. All right, so we knocked out the Xandri dust on the cloak, got it on the front, got on the back, and of course we made a mistake and we pulled the Xandri dust and they got on that black, on that little piping in the back, so we were able to clean that up. And we did get a little mess on the brown, so we cleaned up the brown a little bit, and we got the cloak, and I think it'll look good. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna get all the red trim. And so here's where the decisions need to be made. White scars have mostly just red shoulder pads, like a red knee pad. They're not super, not everything's red, because on a Loyalist white scar, they don't have a whole lot of other bits and bobs. Now we have some extra trim that wouldn't be on a white scar. Obviously the shoulder pads are gonna be red. The skulls are gonna be some sort of I believe it's Balthazar gold, which is kind of like a bronzy gold. And then we could do red on the backpack to kind of tie it in, or we can tie in the gold and put the red in only certain areas. So I'm gonna kind of let the brush kind of lead me into where I want to go. I'm gonna do the red shoulder pads, and then we're gonna go on and we're gonna see where we want to put more red as we go. Obviously, I think these spikes down here will probably be a bronze or a silver. And then after that, we will finally get on to lightening up that gray and bringing it up higher, all the way up to a white scar, but mostly Ulthuan gray. But let's get on to that red, and we'll see you when we're done. All right, we got the red, the Mephiston red laid down, and we tackled that trim. And so I was looking at the trim, and I was trying to decide if I was only going to do some of it red and some of it gold. But as I went through, the red just seemed to really pop. It really worked for what I was going for. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of gray on this little base work right here, on the little base idea, a little gray, and then we're going to move on to popping that. We're probably going to wash, I don't know, because I want to do a wash on the red before we pop up the white. So yeah, we'll probably do that. We'll do the gray, we'll do a wash on everything we haven't washed yet. I'm thinking we're probably going to do more Earthshade. So realistically, I probably should have just done the Earthshade after doing all the bases. I just realized I missed a spot on the arms. All right, we're going to fix that up. And then fix that red up, get that gray on there, and probably get a wash on there, and then we'll be back. All right, so we got the gray, we got fixed up the skull, and we added a wash to our red. And now what we're going to do next is we're going to switch over to the metallics. We're going to go for the we're going to do the silvers and the golds. So for that we have where did I put it? We'll have a Balthazar gold for the gold bits, so like the skulls and the shoulder pad, and like the bullet casings and stuff. And then maybe I'll either do silver or I'll do gold on the actual casing of the gun itself. Not as much gold, maybe on the belt and on this little this icon symbol right down there. Probably do some gold, and then the rest will be silver. We'll wash that up probably. Yeah, anyway, so we'll be back once we got the metallics all done, and then we'll work on bringing the highlights back up, and that'll be pretty fun. All right, here we have the metallics. So both the gold, the Balthazar gold, and the lead belcher have been applied where I felt like they should go. So we got that little skull right there on the shoulder pad. We got little spikes on the leg, and then the gun casing, and the rounds barrel, the rounds that are in the magazines. There's a little gold there. Plus these little belt buckle and that weird chaos symbol he's got on his hanging in front of his loincloth. And then of course the grenade. I always forget the grenade. There's always one lone grenade, and then I realize it's black, and I have to do something with it. Sometimes I keep them black, sometimes silver. But so I could base this and call this done, but we're gonna bring that white armor a little brighter, because you could say that, well, you know, he's a Chaos White Scars model, so you could say that his armor has just like really been battered and corrupted and dirtied, so you could leave him this kind of a lightish gray, and that would be perfectly fine. But I'm gonna bring some highlights into this bad boy, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go with some a little bit of Celestial Gray mixed with Ulthuan Gray. We're going to do a little bit of highlighting upward, not a ton, and then we're going to go Ulthuan Gray, and then a little bit of this White Scars, and then we might even do some highlights of Mephiston Red to bring back up those shoulder pads. But let's take care of the gray armor first. All right, so as you can see, we applied a layer which was mostly Ulthuan Gray with a little bit of Celestial Gray mixed in, and it's looking pretty crappy. It's actually looking like a lot of streaky. We did one layer, and I didn't realize just how much needed to be covered because it looked so good before, and I wanted to brighten it up. And there's just some areas that didn't work out too well, but that's perfectly fine. We're going to be obviously doing one more coat, and that is going to be, and I had to switch over to my 00 Winston Newton Series 7 brush. I had to switch over to a much smaller tip, and we're gonna take some more Ulthuan Gray. We're gonna mix some White Scars in there, and we're going to slowly build up that white and get rid of those streaks, and then we will be back with what should be the actual final. I don't think I'm going to do any more highlights on this, but yeah, all right, let's take care of that, and we'll be back. All right, so I did the final little bit of a White Scar and Ulthuan Gray mixed together, did a couple passes over the areas, and there are still some spots that are not perfectly covered, just kind of where the brush could get the white. But I feel like overall the contrast between the white and the red is working out pretty well. I'm not sure how it's going to show up on camera, but in person it looks fine. And I know from a distance on the field of battle, it'll look pretty good. And so we're going to call this Traitor White Scar complete. Well, first, obviously, we're going to have to throw on some basing material and paint the trim black, and we'll do that and come on back for the final reveal, and then we'll be done. All right, there you go. We got our traitorous White Scars Chaos Space Marine on his base. Base has been rimmed. We're matching. Basically, the idea is that the base is what's going to keep the army cohesion together, at least for the detachment of Chaos Space Marines, because the detachment of Fallen, they're all going to be traditional Horus Heresy, black, red, and I think it was like a tan, like a khaki, whatever cream color that we would want for the Fallen. And yeah, so this is the first, so actually this is the second, because the first one was the Chaos Lord Ultramarine. I think his name was like Sardin's, or Chaos Lord Steve. I don't have a name for this guy. Feel free to throw a name down in the comments block. And what do you think I should do next? So I wanted to do all of the Loyalists except for the Dark Angels, because that wouldn't make any sense, because that's why I have an entire detachment of Fallen, because they're the Dark Angels, and the idea of a Dark Angel falling afterwards would just make him a Fallen. So yeah, we're just gonna stick with the what we got here. So everyone except for that, I know at some point I will have to do yellow, which is surprisingly not as annoying as white, which is probably why I went with white first. And Raven Guard are very close to Alpha Legion, but they're more black and silver with white than black and gold. So we're going to be doing all the Loyalists, so one of each Loyalist, except for Dark Angels. What I do is I just randomly reach into the group, grab a model, and paint it. And then once we're done with that, we can move on to succession chapters. Well, actually, we're going to do all the Loyalists, and then we're going to do all of the Heretics. Yeah, I was trying to think of the word. We're doing all the Heretic Astartes chapters, one of each. And then that's obviously only going to be, what, 18? That's going to be 18 models. We have quite a few more. Permanently, I have about, how many models do we have in that set? Obviously, the Sorcerer is going to be Ward Bearers. Well, Ward Bearers are Thousand Suns. That's one thing is we'll be able to do a Thousand Suns inspired Marine, but not a Thousand Suns exactly. I already have the paints to do the Thousand Sun Marine because you want to do with a Thousand Suns, you want to do Retributor Armor as a base and then throw on this Blood Angel Red for like Horus Heresy. So we'll probably do a Horus Heresy Thousand Sun Marine because they don't have like the gold and everything and all that crazy stuff. But we're going to be doing, so that'll be 18 of the different color schemes. And then we're going to start going into the successor chapters, both Loyalist and non-Loyalist. Preferably probably more Chaos successor chapters because they have some interesting color schemes. But I also want to do like the Firehawks. And so the idea is kind of like this Chaos Space Marine Force is sort of like the Death Watch opposite, where they're all from their original chapters and they all joined for some reason. And Steve here, you know, all got them together and they basically joined the Fallen. And they're going to fight together in a 2,000 point, mostly very highly infantry. I do have a siege tank, and that siege tank will either be Iron Hands for color, just, you know, like silver, or it might be, ooh, that's a good question. It could be Imperial Fist, like a yellow tank. That'd be an iconic centerpiece for the army, but we'll figure it out. We'll decide it later. I'm actually looking forward to probably doing Salamanders. I'll have to see if I have a model that, I don't have any models that have Melt-A-Gun specifically. Do I have any Melt-A-Guns in the squads? No, a lot of plasma. So there's no Melt-A-Guns in the army, and there's no Flamers in the army that I know of. But we'll take a gander, and then we'll probably end up making a Thousand Suns with maybe a plasma gun. We'll figure it out. But yes, is this the best color scheme? Or is this the best way to paint this? No, I made a bunch of mistakes, but it looks good enough for me, and at a distance, you know, me leaning back, looks perfectly fine. So I hope you enjoy, and let me know what you want on the next one, and we'll do another one. Bye.